Okay, we're on.
Yeah, good. Good to go.
Yep.
Hi, troops. We are now deployed to the War Cemetery, the Navy War Cemetery in Gosport. That's where we are right now. It's just predominantly Navy personnel, Royal Marines, Turkish, and anyone from 1854, I believe. The original Navy Cemetery was at Haslar Hospital, which they turned into a war memorial. However, the overflow is this cemetery where we are now. So stay tuned, heads on swivels, eyes open, ears open. Stand to, we're going in and we need your support in achieving what we're going to achieve. So hopefully stay with us as long as you can and enjoy the clip.
Obviously I'm joined by Martin. Martin wearing our Gucci new, our new gear. This is a quick flash shot. So there we go, up the hood. YouTube, Facebook. So anyway, we've got hoodies. This is, I don't know if you can see it properly. Try and turn up the light a bit, but this is a Turkish section to the cemetery. Hopefully we'll go around and pay our respects to the Turkish fallen. Predominantly they're from, I don't know what conflict the Turkish are actually here from, whether they're prisoners of war at some point, I don't know. So bear with us, we'll get round. We did get a sort of brief rundown of who's in what part of the cemetery. Obviously, you know, fall in three ranks, so to speak. I don't know if we can actually get in there, but we'll see if we can find our way through the relevant necessary parts. Later on, we're going to go back on the fort that we got found in last night, much to our amaze, and hopefully we'll be able to develop on a bit more than just an orb. Barry, Dave, right, this is the Turk Benzi Shudligi Turkish Naval Cemetery 1850. Alright, so we're going to go through the keyhole. Who would live in a cemetery like this? Right, so bear with us. There's a sound coming through, alright, Dave? Chris, you alright, buddy? Right, this is obviously this is the resting place of the members of the Turkish Navy that set sail from Eti Niti, met their creator, and here they are laid to eternal rest. 1850. So it was just I don't know if that's German, maybe, I don't know. If we do come across metal headstones rather than military headstones, that was because it was post-dated World War One. So yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like a marble headstone with a marble surround. Quite well maintained and kept. But their service is done, you know, 1851, 1850. So, like I said, we're just trying to bring you a bit of difference than the normal civilian populated type graveyards. If you've seen any of my streams before, where we went to Highland Road, again, it's another, but this is predominantly just a Royal Navy cemetery. So well, in saying predominantly Royal Navy, it's predominantly Navy served personnel. But it's quite a vast area. I mean, how many is there? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 graves with some higher echelon type people. So yeah, so you know, that's probably a compartment on an old warship, maybe, you know, the galley or of some description. It doesn't say on the headstones what they served. It may do in Turkish, but I'm not Turkish, unfortunately. Some people may think I'm Turkish, but I'm not. But anyway, all right, Chris, Paul, long time no see. Paul, how you doing, buddy? Like I said, we're at the Royal Navy Cemetery, which is not far from Haslar Hospital, for those people that know the area. However, we're going to cut around. This is the Turkish segment of the graveyard. We're going to cut around and see what other parts we can find. That age 37, 1944, 15th of July. So, you know, I mean, what's that? It's all a bit faded. Can't really make it out, but can't see a year on there, really. Obviously, that's quite an old one, or either that or it's a bad batch of concrete, one or the other. But again, you know, rank and file. And there's me thinking the Royal Navy can do drill, eh? Evening, Fee. Anthony, you alright? For those just jumping into the stream, I am at a Royal Navy cemetery with Royal Navy graves. Obviously, I don't want to go too far down there because it's right next to someone's house, so we're going to more or less peel off and go back into sort of like the centre of the establishment. For those of you that saw the picture on the channel from last night's investigation, we got sort of like asked politely to leave the location, so we did, rather than cause a stink. But we did take a picture prior to being caught, and we posted it on the channel. And if you've seen that picture, you'll see that there's an orb in shot. I don't know if you can really see that, mate. We'll go around this way, I suppose, mate. So out of respect, we're not going to carry out any form of test. I think you find that all these type crosses here, these are all World War One or post World War One. Earlier, I mean, can you put some light in there, Mark? Can you? I mean, they go back as far as over there. You know, they go quite back. I mean, there's a pillar over there, just to give you the idea of the breadth. I mean, did she say how many was buried here? Did you say 4,000 or something?
4,000 or 5,000.
I think there's 4,000 graves, Royal Navy graves, in this graveyard. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we spoke to the graveyard gamekeeper, or the graveyard sentry. Got permission to actually come in to show thank you for their service. You know, I'm sure when we do Remembrance Sunday, they get quite a lot of coverage, although it's not something that I see every day on the news, to be fair. So we're just here marking our respect. We're not going to call out or shout out, because I think that's just disrespectful to the people that are laid here to rest. Some people may disagree and say, well, you know, well, you want to come and do it, but me and Martin, being ex-services, we don't dishonest our fallen. There's a bit of a churchyard or some form of place where you probably go in and do your last wishes, so to speak. Then obviously go out to the grave to do the norms. That's just pigeons flying out of a tree, just in case you heard some flapping in the wind. But again, you know, it's just, I mean, further up here we come across the I don't know if you can see that. There's a like, oh, see if we can get over to this monument. But yeah, each part to the cemetery is actually sectioned off to good parts and bad parts, I suppose. I think it might be on the other side because we come to a blank wall. So obviously, you know, 1914 to 1919, which is obviously World War One, and in the middle on the cross, or under the cross, it says, "Here are recorded the names of those officers and men of HMS submarine Al-55, sunk in the Baltic the 4th of June 1919, who lay buried in their grave." So, all lay buried in this graveyard. So obviously recovered them. The names are all faded, but you got Fen, Ebling, Binns, Odin, French, Gascoigne, can't really make that one out, Gizing, Butler, Barton, Adams, Angus, CMS Chapman, DSG and Bar, Distinguished Service Cross maybe. So there's a lot of history. Like I said, it's World War One. It's predominantly Royal Navy. So there's no, I think Royal Marines are in here, or Commandos, as she referred to them as. So there are Navy combatants equivalent to some of the Army elite units that we've got in service today. So you know, Royal Marines are the elite of the Royal Navy. But when you ask someone in the Royal Marines for, you know, for his ID card, he said, you know, who are you with, mate? And the answer you get is Royal Marines. So you're with the Navy then? No, I'm a Royal Marine. No, so you're in the Navy? No, I'm in the Royal Marines. So what's it say on your ID card, mate? Oh, it says Royal Navy. So you're in the Royal Navy then? So it's a bit of a damp squid type of question. Is that another monument? Let's go over and see if we can. Over here, which you can't see on camera, due to the lack of light, but you know, I've got my light on. No, but over here is a monument with an anchor on board. Hopefully, around the other side there might be some on the side. There's some type of engraving, like a list of names. But I mean, that's all the way around this anchor. I mean, I don't know if you can see that anchor there. There's an anchor there, obviously mounted on this great big rock. So to me, I think they put the rock in and they've carved it into the rock. Can't really make out. I think it says, "Rest in peace, gents, your service is done." What's it say? God is the rock of my refuge. So, yeah, bit of a daunting sight, really. Shame, you know, I'm not here in daylight, because obviously you get a clearer picture and the significance of actually how big this graveyard is. It's quite big, and obviously the caretaker of the graveyard, obviously you've got to go through the caretaker to gain access. yeah, we've got a brief history rundown of the establishment or of the graveyard itself and the cemetery and all these graves. I mean, where we're going now, all we can see is white, like white little marks, but it goes back literally 200 metres, 150 metres easy. But again, you know, to sort of like take in that vision, I suppose in some ways you could say it's a bit like Arlington Cemetery. These are all post World War One, I believe, or World War One graves. So I mean, I don't know if Martin can shine right back. I mean, this doesn't cover it. But what I'm going to do, I'm at the start of the headstones, right at my feet. Right, here's my feet. So Martin's going to go down to the bottom, and then he's going to shine his torch back at me. That'll give you the idea of. I mean, they go as far right as I can see, and they go sort of like off to my left at an angle due to the trees and the paths. So it goes that far to the left. That's Martin down there in the distance. I don't know if you can see him. But yeah, I don't know if... Can you see him down there? Well, when he gets down there, he's going to obviously turn around and shine his torch back at me. So hopefully you'll see that. He's still walking. You there, Martin? Martin, you there? Shine at me? Right, that there is where Martin is, which is the other end of where all these headstones finish. So that's, I don't know, I reckon that's at least 150 metres, 100 metres, easy. Okay, mate. So he's now going to make his way back to me. For those that have done Matric, if there's any Matric instructors, if you like to count from 1 all the way up to whatever, and then give you an idea of roughly how far away he is. If you know that 10 paces takes you 5 metres, then obviously, you know, you count to 10, that's 5 metres, count to 20, that's 10 metres. Mr. Brown in the house. Hey, Big J, you alright, my man? Yeah, I want to know vandalise that fort wall as well, mate. You know what I mean? I was like, who sprayed a big cross on the wall? Yeah, it's funny, I did laugh. But we're doing this Royal Navy Cemetery, or the Navy Cemetery as it's known as in Gosport, which was an afterthought when Haslar Cemetery got too full back in the 1850s. They then decided that they would allocate land predominantly for Royal Navy personnel when they passed, whether it be Royal Marine. I mean, there's a Turkish part to the graveyard here as well. So it is just predominantly service personnel in this graveyard. There's no strawberry bivvies. I say strawberry bivvies, I mean civvies. Martin's just joined me now, so you can stop counting. That'll give you an idea of roughly how far away he was from me. But I'd say it was a good 150 metres, 100 metres. Martin's out of breath, so it must have been far. But yeah, our intent is after we've wombled around here for a bit, we're not going to do any EVPs or any spirit box or flashy balls or paranormans or anything of that nature, because it's just a sign of disrespect, in my opinion, speaking to those that have passed, given their life for Queen and Country, King and Country, or even the Empire as it was back in the day. So we're just going to do a quick walk round, and then from here we're going to find an alternative way to discreetly get into the fort that we went to last night. So that's what we're doing. But obviously we thought, because when we got here it's still daylight, so we thought we'd come have a womble around this cemetery, being it's Royal Navy. Obviously, like I said, there's a caretaker's lodge, and you go through them, and they obviously give you access. So that's the crest. H. Eastwood, engine room artificer, first class, on board HMS Anthony. So I mean, there's some ships here. You know, by all means, Google it, see if you get the history on the ship. This is able seaman. Royal Navy. Can't see what ship though. Royal Navy, 10th of March 1941. Known to God, a sailor. So there's no name, just a sailor, which is pretty bad state of affairs, because to be given that mark would be, you know, perhaps some form of disfigurement. Couldn't identify who he was, and therefore he's just been buried as a seaman, which is sad because there's no name to his family history. There's no name for any living relatives to look back on. They just know that he took part in whatever war, and consequently he is now no more. What's in there, Martin? Anything? I think this might be the commandos, where she said.
No, I think so.
This what?
Also, have one. Stables. Don't.
Oh, this is so stables for osses. That's hay. Hey. But yeah, so yeah, they're kind enough to let us in to have a look around. You know, obviously me and Martin's interested in military history anyway. It's the nature of the beast. However, you know, we're not here to cast any disrespect on any of the fallen veterans that are here. I don't know, probably a powder boy, maybe, small grave. Could be a powder monkey on the lower decks of, say, HMS Victory or another ship. There's another one over there. So obviously, yeah, you know, there were children on board these ships back in the day. When you watch some of these films and they portray like powder monkey boys running through the decks renewing the gunpowder for the guns, then obviously, you know, there's obviously died at some point on board the ship. Right, these are all, this segment here is all anything to do with the hospital, so surgeons, nurses, medics, any type of medical service person would be buried in this segment to this graveyard itself. So it's been like cornered off to who's buried in what part. So these are all surgeons, nurses, medical experts back in the day. A couple there buried down. We're just it's a very nice cemetery, I must say. It's very quiet, very idyllic. I'm trying not to stand on these. There's one to your right there, Martin. That's Chief Petty Officer J.P. Skillen, 1931 to 1999. So 1927 to 2009 on Lily and Mary. So like I say, they're Chief Petty Officer Harry, 2009. So like I say, anyone that died in service treating service personnel medically will be given the option to be, you know, I just saw that dog and thought that is a real dog, and I was like, oh hello mate, what are you doing here? But you know, obviously there's still some cherished loved ones that come here to visit because they're entitled to be buried here. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just that it's just another venue for the family to be able to put their relative, family member into a nice respectful graveyard where, you know, there's no vandalism in here, there's no anything really to unlike if it's a graveyard that's open to the public and all this, you know. I remember after Remembrance those graveyards been defiled basically by people that aren't worth the steam off my you know what. These all officers. That's Commander Kevin Charlton, CCW, Royal Navy retired, loving father. Peggy, 1942 to 2017. 2018, nothing mother. So even if they die later in life, it still gives them an entitlement to be buried in this cemetery, which I think's a good thing to know. You know, because it is peaceful, it's quiet, it's looked after, it's maintained. Even the Turkish graveyard's quite well maintained, wasn't it? So yeah, I think it's, you know, if I had a choice, if I was in the Navy or retired from the Navy and I had an option to where I wanted to be buried, and you know, I'd probably put this as number one on my list. Obviously local to the area, but there's a lot of sailors obviously leave the Navy and settle in the area that we're in at the moment. So you know, it's not a bad thing. Inspector General J.N. Dick Royal Navy, who fell asleep on the 19th of January 1885, aged 9. Aged 9? Ethel, daughter of Inspector General, aged 9, so it's obviously his daughter. Obviously, when we say service members, obviously it's service members and their families, obviously. Unbeknown to us that was the case. But this is just a quick promptu walk round, let you know that obviously, you know, we're still going strong, we're being positive, we're looking forward to what's coming ahead, which is Fort, whatever it's called, I don't want to say it. But if you're members of the channel, then obviously you know where we're going. So yeah, we're just, it's not very well lit up here. I mean, there's another monument here. It's not like monuments, is there? You know, it's like monuments after monuments. Clear at night, so I'm hoping it's not going to rain, so hopefully that will add to the investigation later tonight. So and there's another memorial statue in memory of, can't really make that out, big chunk missing, where the Allied in action who died disease or accident during commission on the Cape of Good Hope and west coast of African Station, 1878 to 1882. So when you watch all these programmes where all the soldiers are in red coats, I mean, that's probably the same time as the Navy were in blue coats and tights and shoes with buckles on and that sort of dress, retire. Long time ago, maybe a long time ago, but they're still not forgotten. That's the main thing. You know, it's when they're forgotten. You know, what happens when the last World War II veteran dies? You know, are we just going to forget it, or will it live on forever? You know, and then obviously you've got the other conflicts that are taking place. You've got Iraq, you've got Afghanistan. You know, soon we'll probably have the last Falklands veteran at some point. You know, when do we not remember the dead in the fact that they gave their life? Right, bit of brief history here. Haslar Royal Navy. British home front during the first. Okay, John, no worries, buddy. Fortress and base for equipped training troops. I'll quickly scroll down this bit, you can read it in slow time. So I'm just going down it slowly. That's the picture in the shot. So mine's going to take a photo of the actual plinth, and then he'll probably post it up onto the channel. So if you want to have a read of it, by all means feel free to do so and comment. Like I said, you know, we're here having a look around. We're not here to disrespect or carry out any type of investigation and try to make contact. Here's another one, Clay Hall, Royal Navy, Cemetery. Brief history. So there we go. Opened in October 1753. Who died either at Haslar or on board ships in Portsmouth Harbour, or at Spithead, were interred in the grounds of the hospital. And obviously that's overflowed since then, and obviously it's moved on here. Martin's again going to take a picture of this, so you know you can open it up, can have a read of it, and just see some history with regards to this cemetery itself, which is a good thing to know. If you think, you know, we're just bombing around a normal church cemetery, this is far from just a normal church cemetery. It's obviously fallen sailors, being a senior service of the armed forces. It's my way and Martin's way of showing our respect for their service. And I mean, they stopped doing the toss of rum, I believe, 1972. 1972, the Royal Navy had the tradition of a ration of rum per sailor per day, as far as I know, or per week or per whatever. And they actually stopped doing that in 1972. However, there is a place in the historic dockyards you can buy the original Pusser's rum from 17 whatever, and it's something like £605 a bottle. So it's quite expensive. You know, if that's your tipple, then by all means, you know, go and spend 600 quid on a bottle of rum. I'm sure you'll be the envious of all your friends. Yeah. So yeah, it's there's a lot of Navy traditions like splicing the membrace, and you know, when a member of the royal family has a child, then obviously they give permission to the Royal Navy to splice the membrace, which is the big mast, or the old middle mast on the old Victorian ships. The Victory's got three. Obviously the main one, the front one, the middle one is the main one. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it means, like splice the mast. And that's a Navy tradition, which is still ongoing today. So it's good to see that the Navy keeps some traditions. Our traditions not so much, because obviously, you know, the Army's not a drinking machine, although sometimes people think they are. They work hard, they play hard, that's it. You know, at the end of the day, they write that blank cheque every day. So, yeah, alright, they're letting off steam. But we're going to conclude. Or do you want to have a womble over here? We haven't really sort of done this bit. We've just found our way coming back to the lodge. So we're just going to have a quick look over here to the left. I'm on the wrong side as always. Barry George. I wonder if Buster Crabbe's buried in there. Buster Crabbe was a famous diver, wasn't he? Who went missing when the Russian submarine was in the harbour. Not the harbour, but the outside of the harbour. He went into to go to investigate the submarine, and he just never resurfaced. So there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of controversy on what actually happened to him. I mean, you can Google it. Google Buster Crabbe, the diver, the Navy diver, demolition expert, a bit like a Navy SEAL, I suppose. He went into the Oggin that day. I say Oggin, it means water. So he went out into the Oggin to investigate the submarine and never returned. There is a hotel on the place called the Hard, and it's alleged to believe his spirit frequents that hotel in one of the rooms. When I establish what room, then the 4Ps will go and try and investigate. It's just another historic fact, so to speak, and we just want to go and validate what people are claiming or saying they've heard or seen. Hopefully we'll find out which one and get in there and hopefully bring that investigation to your sofa on your big flat screen TV, or whatever you're watching this on, your tablet, your iPhone. Don't really want to show them. But yeah, this is generally, I mean, it's big, isn't it? Eh?
It was massive.
Right, should we go? Do you want to suck it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'll just put this on here. I'll give it mine. Okay.
Right, this is the Royal Navy Cemetery, like I said, in Gosport. We're going to leave here, minutes view, recharge our stuff. At some point we will be coming live streaming from the location of where it was last night. So this has been the 4Ps. I've been H, he's been
Martin.
and you've been our paranormal observers. Stand down, but be prepared to stand too when we come back on live. Out for now, grab yourself a coffee.